Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and that is the 2023 Chevy Silverado Trail Boss with a Duramax diesel under the hood. And in this video, I'm going to take it on a quick road trip and see how that fuel economy actually plays out. Stay tuned. Yes, Gearheads, Chevrolet delivered this vehicle to us to test for a full week, and I want to do a lot more with this one than I normally do, including a road trip test, because that's one of the things this Duramax should be really good for. But let's pop the hood really quickly and take a look at that Duramax. See if I can get it up in one hand. There we go. The Duramax diesel, the baby Duramax, as some are calling it. It's the fourth engine that is optional in the 1500 series of Silverado trucks. So the smallest engine is the 2.7 liter turbo high output 4-cylinder. That is the same engine that they're putting in the smaller Colorado, and is the only engine in the smaller Colorado. This is the highest output version, or that is the highest output version in the Silverado at 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, which is not bad. The other option, the more ubiquitous one, is the 5.3 V8. It's the Ecotec V8. It makes 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. And then the big boy, the 6.2 liter Ecotec V8, makes 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. But all of that pales in comparison. This baby Duramax is the torquiest, most powerful engine that you can get in the 1500. This 3-liter turbo diesel makes 305 horsepower, which isn't bad, but it's not segment leading or even leading within the other engines in this vehicle. But it makes a whopping 495 pound-feet of torque. And on two-wheel drive models can tow over 13,000 pounds on a 1500. So all of that translates to a really good vehicle. This is paired to a 10-speed automatic, and I can tell you just from driving this around town, it's absolutely spectacular. This powertrain combo is a 1-2 punch, and I've been really impressed with it in stop-and-go traffic. And that's one thing where I will lean a little bit more on my buddy Tim Estradal from Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. He has done a lot of research. He actually has a Duramax in his long-term test vehicle, which is a high country version, but he's done a lot of conversations with General Motors and engineers there, because truck guys are always like, well, yeah, but you gotta leave it idling or running. If you stop and take short trips, don't take short trips in it. They're treating it like a heavy duty diesel, when that's not what this little baby Duramax is. Diesel engines have been around in Europe for years, and they've been putting them in all kinds of cars, family cars, economy cars, and we just haven't really gotten used to them in non-heavy duty applications. So that's exactly what this is in this Trail Boss. This is a really good engine that you can treat just like any of the others in the lineup. And as far as the looks go, there really isn't anything else to call this one apart and let anyone know that this has the Duramax, other than that right there on the hood where it says Duramax, because even back here around in the back, there are no diesel-like exhaust tips. You still get the cutouts in the rear bumper back here. Now when you do fire it up, you will notice it sounds a little bit different. It doesn't sound like a 5.3 or 6.2 V8. I will climb in here and hop behind the wheel and show you the vehicle startup on this one. So it is a push button start, but I do want to show you this animation before we do that. So yes, it's a Trail Boss. We get lots of screen real estate with a digital gauge cluster and the segment leading 13+ inch infotainment screen here. But let's fire it up, because I want to show you right here. I've only driven it 47.3 miles since I've gotten it, but those have been mostly city miles, and you can see 19.8 MPG, which is not just overly spectacular. The MPG on the window sticker of this one is 21 city, 23 highway, 22 combined. So you would expect just a little bit better number than that in real world traffic. So I am seeing slightly lower than the posted EPA estimated numbers. This one does even have a hard bed cover back in the back. I know Mythbusters and several other people have done tests on whether or not the bed covers actually improve or detract from fuel economy. I know there's a lot of aerodynamic work on this vehicle. In fact, let's get out and I'm going to show you some of the aerodynamic things that Chevrolet did when designing this to make sure it was as fuel efficient as possible. One, this air curtain right here to help air get around the vehicle instead of just hitting a wall of the vehicle. General Motors went to this pillar style mounted rear view mirror that helps again let air get around and through this rear view mirror here. So that's another issue that they did to help with aerodynamics. And then you can see, yes, we've got the hard tonneau cover back here, but almost slipped. You can hear exactly what that little Duramax sounds like under the hood. It sounds like a diesel, but it's not overly loud, and you can just tell it's not your typical V8 engine. But I do want to pop in the back here. We've got all our stuff loaded up. Tucker and I are about to head to Dallas for the North Texas Auto Show, and I figured that is the perfect opportunity to do a fuel economy test here and see real world, what does this get the way I drive here in East Texas. I will note speed limits here are 75. I will drive this just like I drive any other vehicle and we will see what we get. So let's smash cut to me driving down the road and Tucker in the back seat, and we'll see just how this thing handles as a daily driver. All right, gearheads, here we are. Tucker's in the back seat. All our luggage is back there. We are set off and ready to go in this one. And a few more things about the fuel economy in this one. So something you may not expect in a diesel powered vehicle, especially one, again, I was talking about people worried about idling this one. This one actually has an engine start stop feature when you're stopped in traffic at lights. So once the engine is warm enough, it will actually turn off. And that is a defeatable feature right here, but that is just proof that this little baby Duramax, as it's called, is to be treated just like any other engine. You just drive it like a normal vehicle. You don't worry about it. Yes, you had to put in diesel emission or diesel exhaust fluid, pardon the slip there, but DEF, you had to put that in as you are driving this around. But really, you just drive this like a normal vehicle. And other than it sounding just a little bit different, this really is a great powertrain that I would probably pick over the 5.3 or the 6.2, having spent a little bit of time in this. I already mentioned that 10-speed automatic is really good, and just the power delivery is effortless with just gobs of torque underneath the hood, the most that you can get in the 1500 line. So here we are setting off. I mean, it sounds like a diesel, but the transmission shifts are smooth and effortless. You don't even know them. The power delivery is linear. It's exactly what you would expect. It drives very well. Now, this is a fuel economy run, fuel economy test. I'm not going to do any hypermiling. I'm not going to do anything outside of my normal driving. I mentioned earlier, fuel or speed limits here in Texas are 75, so I'm going to drive it just like I normally would. This is still a big truck. I did reset trip 2 on this to get exactly this trip, so you'll know exactly what this trip, the 90 plus miles to Dallas and back, mostly highway, but a little bit of city traffic mixed in there, exactly what we'll get. I'm only a mile away from setting off. We're getting 15.5, though I was stopped at that light for a little bit. The engine did not cut off because it is the end of February and it's 77 degrees out here. So the AC is on, the engine wasn't quite warmed up, so no engine start stop for us just yet, but I do imagine that will kick in when we get into Dallas traffic. So just that little bit of note there. If you want to know what we get on fuel economy for the entire duration of our time with this vehicle, be sure and check out our family review where Holly is behind the wheel. Tucker will still be with us in that one, but that will be after we take this one off-road and see what it does off-road. It's going to have a lot of mixed use behind it, and we will see what its overall fuel economy is there. You see, now that I'm out on open road, I'm at 20 MPG in climbing, so it will be very interesting to see how this handles long-term on this trip. But I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you for right now, and we'll check in as we get a little bit closer to Dallas. Alright, so I know I said I would chime back in when we were a little closer to Dallas. 17 miles is a little bit closer to Dallas, right? So I did want to talk a little bit about why this particular blend of pickup truck is just so special. So the competition is the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, which even though it has the iForce Max hybrid powertrain, the combined fuel economy on that is 20 mpg, and the really only supposed benefit of that powertrain is in stop and go traffic, when the engine can actually shut off, or at low speeds when you can actually use the hybrid, the electric side of that powertrain. Otherwise, it's a twin turbo V6 that is actually rather thirsty, and so is the twin turbo V6 in the Ford. And while yes, the Ford is more powerful if you get the trimmer with that twin turbo V6, it's not more fuel efficient. And then you get the Ram Rebel, which I would get it with the Hemi before the Hemi goes away. They are introducing that new Hurricane inline 6, which we will get to see maybe some more of that in the near future. But as far as off-road pickup trucks go, this is the most fuel efficient. 22 combined MPG, 23 on the highway. We've got 19 miles now since I reset the fuel or the trip computer, and we're at over 24 MPG. We have been going at a pretty constant speed, a 60 mile per hour average speed. So this thing is actually doing really good on fuel economy, which is impressive because while I pointed out all those aerodynamic bits on the outside, this is still an off-road focused truck first and foremost. So we have the 2-inch lifted suspension, which does not help with aerodynamics, all that air going underneath it. There is no air dam up front. Again, doesn't help with aerodynamics. You've got those Goodyear Wrangler tires that don't help with fuel economy. You've got just a lot of stuff working against fuel efficiency in this particular truck, but you still get that off-road stance, that off-road capability, without having to sacrifice on the fuel economy when you inevitably, because here in East Texas, use this as a family vehicle. That's what we do. Trucks, full-size trucks, especially off-road focused full-size trucks, really are a family vehicle around here. And at least here in East Texas, trips like this that I'm taking today are absolutely a staple of life here in East Texas. So it's really good to know exactly what this is going to get us in real life scenarios, and this 90+ mile trip to Dallas and back is something that we do quite often. So I'm very curious how this stacks up against those EPA numbers on the window sticker. So the ultimate test here of the power, the torquiness, this 10-speed automatic transmission is what we're about to do right now, and that is merge onto the highway, get up to highway speeds, and see exactly what this whole package is really like. So you can see power delivery, absolutely smooth. That engine isn't too loud. You can just get up and effortlessly go. It really is a good powertrain all the way around. We're gonna get this giant brick up to highway speed, see what road noise is like with those tires, with the wind trying to get around this very unaerodynamic shape in the grand scheme of things. You can see here we are, highway speeds. Nothing really to write home about. This is exactly what I would expect from a full-size pickup truck. Delivery of the power, smooth, linear. I really like this powertrain. I'm going to be talking about it a lot on this video because it really is winning me over. But now we're going to go down the highway. Our next maneuver isn't for another 72 miles, and you don't want to see all that. So we'll check back in with you a little bit closer to Dallas, if not on the outskirts of Dallas itself. Alright, gearheads, here we are over 96 miles into our journey, almost completely highway miles. We've averaged 71.9 miles per hour, so just to tell you what kind of driving situation we've had on this trip. And I am very quickly falling in love with this powertrain, with this entire setup, because even though this is an off-road focused truck with the off-road tires, with the lift, with the rain show shocks, with everything that makes it capable off-road, the fuel economy on this has really impressed me as well. Even at East Texas highway speeds, 75 plus miles per hour. Like I said, I've averaged 71.9 on this trip. The ride on this just went over some rough pavement. The ride has been really good. The noise level has been really good. It is very quiet in here. Chevy's done a lot to insulate this vehicle. Those Goodyear Wranglers are not very loud on the road. Just overall, very, very, very impressed with this vehicle. I wish it had adaptive cruise control. That's the one thing this particular $65,000 truck does not have. But I did want to give you a quick check-in as we are getting into Dallas. Again, 98.5 miles on the trip computer, 22.9 MPG, 71.8 average miles per hour. Tucker wants me to remind you, we aren't in Dallas. No, we're not in Dallas. But we've been driving for almost 100 miles and are averaging just under 23 MPG. So really sticking close to what that window sticker says. Again, just a reminder to you.
We're close to Dallas.
Yes, we are close to Dallas, but just a reminder to you, we do have that bed cover on the back. So just a little something to note that while we are getting 22.9 MPG, we are driving Texas highway speeds, but we do have the bed cover in the back. But that's about what you can expect driving this 3-liter Duramax diesel in a Chevy 1500 Trail Boss, an off-road focused pickup truck. What you can expect there. But that is it from the road. I will give you a final recap when we arrive at our destination, which is only 14 minutes from here. So we'll see you in about 14 minutes our time, even less your time. So we finally made it downtown Dallas proper, and we are stuck in a little bit of stop and go traffic. I knew it was coming. It was inevitable. It is going to put a damper on my average speed and my average fuel economy, but really, I'm doing really good. 109 miles, 70.3 miles per hour average speed, 23.5 miles per gallon. So this thing really is just chugging along. But unfortunately, downtown Dallas, especially I-35, is kind of a parking lot. So yeah, we'll see when we get to our final destination exactly how it handles this stop and go. I did mention already, this does have engine start stop on it, so if we do come to a complete stop, I am sure the engine will turn itself off, even though it is 79 degrees outside and we've got the air going. At least for the short amount of time we would be at a full stop here in traffic, the engine would turn itself back on. I can tell you from experience.
There's an airplane in the sky and there's a building with a W.
Yep. I can tell you from experience that this is a very quick engine to kick back on, so that engine start stop isn't really all that noticeable. But I'm curious to see what Holly thinks about it when she's driving it around town. So absolutely subscribe and make sure you don't miss that video when it drops later this week or whenever I end up posting it. But Tucker, here while we're stuck in traffic, what are your thoughts of this truck so far?
I love the red of it.
You love the red? What about the view? Can you see out really good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tucker sold on this truck. He was sold from the moment he saw it. He loves the red. He loves how big it is. And the fact that something this big and massive and off-road focused can go down the road so relatively fuel efficiently is quite impressive. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to making sure we can navigate Dallas traffic, because you can see we are in some pretty heavy traffic here on I-35. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure we actually make it to our destination. So yeah, we'll we'll see you in just a bit. All right, so you can see here we're kind of moving a little bit slow. 4 miles to go, 13 minutes to do it in. So yeah, just a little bit of traffic here in downtown Dallas. It's to be expected. But as we look down here at how the vehicle is doing fuel economy wise, just absolutely spectacular. So I am really falling more and more in love with this powertrain combination. All right, we finally made it, at least not to our final destination, but our final stop on this video journey, because Tucker and I are getting a little hungry. But I did want to give you a final recap of what we saw here on the fuel economy. So we've been sitting here for just a second. So my average speed has dropped from an even 63 miles per hour to 62.7. But you can see fuel economy 23.7 over nearly 115 miles. So you can see that window sticker of 23 highway is absolutely correct. I did not drive this thing any differently than I would drive any other vehicle. I drove it like I would a typical truck, and I really like this powertrain. You're going to see more from me. I am going to take this one off-road. I'm going to take it out with Holly. I will have, or will do, a full walk around of this and give you some city driving impressions, maybe back in Tyler. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Tucker really likes it. He's liked it since it showed up. Bright red. But yeah, very strong numbers, very strong showing here. Really good fuel economy numbers. And I've had over 500 miles on the estimated range of this. We're down to 396, and we haven't even used a quarter of the tank yet. So this really is an impressive rig all the way around. The fact that I'm going to be off-roading it later in my week with it just speaks to just how much fun this thing is overall. That is it for our fuel economy journey. I thank you so much for following along with us. You can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Talk. Be sure and hit all the buttons down below. Follow, subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell. All the things to let the algorithm know to show you more stuff from us, because not only do we have more coming with this truck, we have some exclusive drives coming up, a whole lot of fun that you won't want to miss, and we will want you around for. But until next time, gearheads.